Taliban says it carried out a suicide attack on a park in Lahore, which killed more than 70 people, including children, and left at least 300 injured. The group said it had targeted Christians celebrating Easter. Pakistan's president condemned the attack, and the regional government has announced 3 days of mourning. Anna Ehrenheim has the latest.
The death toll in the suicide bombing, which hit a park full of families celebrating Easter in the Pakistani city of Lahore, rose to 72 as the Punjab province declared 3 days of mourning. A faction of the Pakistan Taliban, Jamaat-e-Ahrar, claimed the suicide bombing, saying it was targeting Christians who were celebrating Easter and threatened future attacks, including on schools and colleges. The majority of the casualties were women and children, and another 300 people were injured in the attack, which took place right next to a children's play area.
We went to the park for amusement, but it was so crowded that there was even no way of entering it. We went to a canteen to have something to eat when there was suddenly a big blast. Everyone went panic, running to all directions. Many of them were blocked at the gate of the park. Dead bodies can be found everywhere.
Doctors described frenzied scenes at the hospitals as staff treated casualties on floors and in corridors. Hundreds of locals also rushed to hospitals to donate blood.
The Chief Minister of Punjab is monitoring the situation minute by minute after the sad incident in Lahore. The entire Punjab government and all its agencies are active. All hospitals have been issued red alert and doctors' leave has been cancelled.
The attack was condemned by world leaders, the Vatican, and the United Nations Secretary General Ban Ki-moon. Pakistani-born Malala Yousafzai also condemned the attack, saying she was devastated by the senseless killing and that every life is precious and must be respected and protected.
And now we're joined from Karachi in Pakistan by Bina Shah, writer and columnist. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Hello.
Firstly, how does your country, your people, how do they respond to such a horrific attack?
Well, whenever there's something like this, and unfortunately these attacks do happen with some frequency, the immediate human response from the people around is tremendous. People drop everything, they rush to help, they flag down cars and taxis to get people to the hospital. They do what they can to donate blood and supplies to the medical facilities and to comfort the wounded and their families.
Now, with all the challenges facing your country now, do you think that the Taliban is one of the most significant challenges?
Well, strategically, the Taliban has actually been weakened over the last year and a half because of a sustained military operation against them conducted by the Pakistani army. And what we're seeing now is the Taliban has splintered into several weaker groups that don't really have any cohesive unit, no cohesive leadership. Some of them are acting really on their own as lone wolves, and yesterday's attack is an example of that.
Now, how do attacks like these go along with social reforms taking place in your country?
Could you say that again, please?
Now, how attacks like this coincide or go with social reforms that are taking place within Pakistan?
Well, you know, we're seeing this is a very critical time for Pakistan's future. People are becoming more and more aware of the fact that there's been 30 years of backlog since, dictatorship and Islamization has resulted in some very unbearable conditions as far as social and human rights is concerned, with the growing awareness of the need for women's empowerment, more literacy, and coinciding with the need for security against terrorism. We're seeing a lot of decisive moves and events taking place, and with them a greater understanding and a better interpretation of what these moves mean for Pakistan's future. People are becoming more and more aware of what's really at stake if we don't take care of this problem now.
Well, thank you very much for joining us from Karachi, Bina Shah. And now for more on the story, we're joined by our correspondent, Danny Swibel. Danny, thanks for joining us as well.
Thank you for having me.
Obviously, a heavy day for Pakistan now, but immediately this splinter group of the Taliban came out and proudly claimed responsibility for this attack. What's their goal by doing this, and what other attacks bear their fingerprints?
Well, first we have to ask, why are they doing it and why do it now? They were very vocal in that they deliberately focused on attacking Christians on Easter holiday. And this happened in the political and cultural heartland heartland of Lahore, which is where Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif, that's part of his power base. So it was surely a direct message to him. And part of this bigger goal of putting Sharia law throughout the country, this group has been known to always attack schools, especially schools with women studying there. And yes, this is part of a large series of attacks. They were responsible for the Peshawar school bombing last year that killed 142 people at least.
That was primarily students at the school,
yes.
Right?
So this was the larger Pakistani Taliban, and they were also responsible for the shooting of Malala Yousafzai. So a lot of profile attacks in the last several years. And this comes at a very particular time when we're seeing IS right now conduct these large profile attacks throughout Europe and the Middle East. So some could say, well, this splinter group has some sort of allegiance to IS. Perhaps it's wanting to do a continuation of attacks like this. Some would say that perhaps the Pakistani Taliban is being overshadowed by IS on the other hand. So they want to put themselves on the map as saying, hey, we are also a major group out there, and the IS doesn't have this caliphate over the whole Muslim world, that we are also a very dominant militant group.
So in a way, this could be the Pakistani Taliban raising their flag to say, remember us, we're still here, coming on the heels of this attack in Brussels. Now you're saying they don't want to be overshadowed by the Islamic State.
That's correct. There was actually inner fighting within the different splinter cells of the Pakistani Taliban, some wanting to claim allegiance to the Islamic State, and some saying, hey, we are never going to be second fiddle. We're never going to play second fiddle to IS. So there's been that inner debate. So that is the question. Are they trying to, again, get over the shadow, out of the shadows, or are they trying to be part of perhaps an effort to lure the IS to give funds, resources, and maybe be part of that? Because right now, IS is dominating global headlines for a reason, because they are carrying out these attacks.
Certainly dominating Western headlines. Danny Swibel, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after a short break with more on the Daily Beat.